Hi, y'all. I'm Joe, your host and cannabis lifestyle guide. And I'm hanging out today with Catrina Jackson. She is the product development manager at Stewart Farms. And if any of you are usual podcast listeners, you have met Tanner Stewart, the CEO, and Jameson Wellborn, the CCO. I'll be sure and include my discussions with those guys in the show notes. But Catrina and I are here today to talk about herbal and aromatic remedies and our love of terpenes. Catrina, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
Yeah, so you are in New Brunswick, so you're quite a ways away from Oakland, California. Tell me what the scene is right now. How cold is it there?
It is pretty cold. I dug out my great big parka jacket and I've got hats and mitts, and I'm not loving sneaking out for a puff during the day nearly as much as I did a few weeks ago. It's getting chilly pretty quick.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you at Stewart Farms, it is, well, tell us, but for people that haven't listened before, just give us a quick elevator pitch of what Stewart Farms is all about before we get going.
Okay. Stewart Farms is very quickly a cannabis company, but it is so much more. We are a company that is entering the cannabis space with zero plastic packaging, which is a huge dilemma in the recreational cannabis industry in Canada. So we're launching with zero plastic. We are growing a really robust library of genetics and looking at all levels of the plant, not just levels of THC. We're doing that. We're doing a lot of research and innovation work around the plant and growing practices and regenerative growing, and vertical aquaponics is something that we're very active in as well. My wheelhouse of the company is the topical department. So that's something that's growing within the company as well. So when we market, we will have topicals, which actually entered the market for the first time today. And our flower is going to be coming to market very soon as well.
Very nice. Congratulations. Yeah, so you just had a giant order of bath bombs that have just exploded across Canada, right?
Yeah. We just sent 9,600 bath bombs to Alberta, which are on their way now. They're still in the truck headed there. And today I actually have team members who have dispersed across New Brunswick with boxes for all of our recreational stores here, which is Cannabis MB. So by tomorrow, by end of day, New Brunswick will also be fully stocked in infused bath bombs.
Nice. So herbal and aromatic remedies, they have been used throughout recorded history. I think most people are most familiar, excuse me, with Ayurveda, the practices of traditional Indian medicine that dates back 2,500 plus years. So you got your start pretty early and understood the value of herbalism and aromatherapy. You started at age 15 in this stuff. Like how did that start? What were you doing?
Well, at the time, my mom had actually bought a business, a local business that was a soapery. And at the time, they were making products that were really good. They were handmade and they were almost natural. But as a kid, I was incredibly sensitive to perfumes and scents and pesticides and all of these different synthetic things that were being added to our food and wellness products. And I couldn't use the products that were for sale in her store. And we ended up teaming up together and completely rebranding her business, launching lots of new products that were all truly 100% natural. So I went from working with her having products available that were loaded in perfume and synthetic fragrance oil to learning aromatherapy and layering essential oils to create beautiful scent profiles that smelled amazing, had tons of therapeutic qualities, and also didn't bother me or my skin or other people. You know, I've always heard people saying, oh, I can't use bath bombs. They cause irritation and I have lots of issues, but a lot of those ingredients don't need to be in there. So we basically took the idea that skincare can truly be 100% natural. And this was 17 years ago. So now the natural wellness industry is pretty big, but 17 years ago, it was hard to find anything without, perfume and fragrance oil. So I went on to study aromatherapy, became a full partner in the business, and launched hundreds of products. A natural baby line I designed once I became pregnant with my daughter, my firstborn. I wanted cloth diaper safe, all natural products available for her. So I developed them. And what I kept finding was I'd want a product in my own life or for my daughter or my husband. And it wasn't available, all natural. And so I started hustling like crazy to develop all these different products that were truly 100% natural and just layered with all these beautiful therapeutic benefits, which were all derived from aromatherapy, which is really, aromatherapy is pretty much at the heart of everything I work on now.
I love that so much. Most makers and entrepreneurs get started because they're filling a need for themselves.
Yeah.
And, I have super sensitive skin as well. And, I'm in the process of launching my first product called MJ Relief underneath MJ Skin is the name of the company. My best friend, Monica, is a PhD formulation scientist. And 3 years ago, I had gone to her and was like, okay, I'm not finding a topical that's helping me, plus not irritating my skin, plus doesn't leave a weird sticky texture on my body. Like all of these things were really bothering me. And so we worked to create something where we could use less CBD because I'm allergic to cannabis. And
I
so,
didn't know that.
yeah, so that's why I'm constantly wiping my nose with a Kleenex. Like I have constant nose drip because I smoke and then I sneeze and my nose runs, but it's my medicine, damn it. But yeah, so I needed something that could have less of the cannabinoids in it that wouldn't, because my skin, I would just start scratching myself. So I needed a topical that had less CBD in it, but then other ingredients that would work with it to give me the inflammation relief and the skin soothing. And so it really did come down to what that intersection of herbalism and cannabis to come up with that perfect product for us. So that's where you find yourself now. You were only working with herbs and other natural medicines, and you just recently entered cannabis. Kind of talk about the difference between those two lives.
So when my son was born, I had really, really bad postpartum anxiety. I didn't sleep and I was so nasty. I was not a nice person. I had a very short fuse, and, my daughter was 2, so toddlers and not getting any sleep and having a short fuse. And prior to having my first child, I used cannabis recreationally, but after becoming a mom, didn't really do it for me until my husband said that, you need to try something. You're not sleeping. You're very, I was very, very touchy, very emotional, just full of anxiety. And the first thing I tried was like high THC. Didn't really know much about it, and it did me in really bad. I was paranoid. I felt awful. And I was like, nope, this is not for me. But he kept pushing. He was like, no, like try some CBD. Like, let's start with that. And I tried some CBD and I felt a little bit more okay in my own skin, which I thought was really cool. I kind of accepted where I was at and who I was. And then I tried a very low THC Bubba Kush cultivar. And oh my gosh, I had the best sleep of my life. And I woke up feeling so renewed. And I was very close to going on antidepressants and sleep medication. And I woke up and was like, yes, this is amazing. So I just dove in completely and wanted to, cannabis is an herb, just like lavender. And I have all these great ways I know how to work with lavender. So I wanted to pull in the cannabis into that and started making topicals. And it was amazing for me because I started, giving these out to people, and they were experiencing the same kind of effect as me, in that it was kind of a world changer. And then, when I met Tanner Stewart, our CEO, about 2 years ago, when I first heard that Stewart Farms was coming to St. Andrews or to St. Stephen, when Stewart Farms was coming to St. Stephen. And at the time, I was no longer working for my mom. I wasn't in the wellness industry. I was actually working in the local school systems. And I met Tanner because I heard about Stewart Farms and reached out saying that I was so happy to hear it was coming to my town. I loved the technology, the idea. And I, at this point, was just kind of newly thinking about topicals and really interested in incorporating cannabis into topicals, and reached out to see if that was something, they would ever be interested in doing. And at the time, we weren't there yet, of course, but Tanner brought me on to make these cannabis-inspired products. And that's really where the light bulb went off for me. I hadn't thought a lot about terpenes. I was thinking about essential oils. And at that point, I wasn't really a big cannabis user. Terpenes wasn't really in my vocabulary. But then I had this great talk with Tanner about creating cannabis-inspired products by using the terpene profiles of different cultivars. And at the time, I said, well, I don't really think I know a lot about that. And he was like, but you do. You're an aromatherapist. You know so much about it. And then when I started breaking down the essential oils more to see what terpenes were happening in there, it was, like I said, like a light bulb went off. If a strain like Bubba Kush that's high in linalool is helping me sleep, and linalool is high in lavender, then there's all these connections that are happening, right? So at that point, I just kind of dove in so deeply into the study of terpenes and their synergistic relationship with cannabis, and how, iconic cultivars are iconic for certain reasons. And so much of that has to do with the terpene profile. So it was kind of that moment, everything all came full circle for me, and I kind of dived into the cannabis industry full force.
I love it. And last year for Christmas, the guys sent me a gift box with all of these products. And the fun thing about them is to get a soap and a bath bomb and some bath salts that are Blue Dream or Trainwreck or Bubba Kush. And you are using the same terpene profile in these products. For a connoisseur, that's a really fun way to to enjoy those. I mean, smoke your Blue Dream and sit in a bath with it. I mean, I thought it was fun. So I will be excited to try this new version that you have that's now infused. So are you still doing the strain-inspired terpene profiles?
Yeah, we are. So we ended up launching our non-infused versions to market for sale. They were meant to be a giveaway, a learning opportunity. It wasn't ever supposed to be a long-term thing, but there was so much demand for the product. We launched them at the World Cannabis Congress in 2019. And after that, these non-infused versions had quite a following, and people were looking for them and wanting to purchase them. So we actually did a little market test launch of the non-infused versions again, and sent them to our local cannabis rec stores. And again, they were a huge hit. People loved them, and it kind of got everybody's appetite ready for the infused versions, which, like I said, we're launching right now. And what we did is we kept that terpene profile. So we have Bubba Kush with its linalool and caryophyllene and myrcene. And now we've added the cannabinoids. So we've kind of completed the entourage effect of that cultivar. So now you have Bubba Kush, you have its CBD and THC content, and you have the terpene profile to match. So we've really, leveled up on the bath bombs and completed the whole entourage of that strain.
I love that. So when you were deciding what the terpene profile would be, were you following a specific cannabis genetic profile, like from a specific cultivar? Or was it just like, okay, Blue Dream has these? Or were you saying, okay, this specific one has X% of linalool, X% of beta caryophyllene, blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, that is what I tried to do. So I tried to find the most common ones that I find. Going forward, it'll be great when we can use our own genetics and our own COAs to match perfectly. That's in the future. But for now, I used terpene profiles that were available to us, and then did try to match the percentages as much as I can. So that, if something is dominant in linalool, there is going to be a really strong effect attached to that high percentage of linalool in there. So we really did try to match it as close as we could without using actual cannabis terpenes. All the terpenes that we use in our products are all derived botanically from essential oils and botanicals that we've added into the products.
Very nice. So for people that don't understand terps to the degree that we do, when I'm talking to a newbie, I say terpenes are basically the essential oils of plants. They're what give everything its fragrance. So from your professional perspective, when you're talking about the power of terpenes, we can tell people that it truly can. It affects the nuance of your experience. It's not going to affect how high you get, but it's definitely going to affect whether or not you feel peppy or whether or not you want to take a nap or go to sleep or, whatever.
Right.
So, what are some of the most significant terpenes that really are helpful for us in our daily lives?
Okay, yeah. Well, like I mentioned linalool already. Linalool is a terpene that is found in really high concentrations in lavender. And it's the reason that lavender is so sedating and calming and has such a great anti-anxiety effect. And you can find that in a lot of cannabis cultivars too. One thing I'm starting to see happening in Canada now that I love is that the terpenes are actually showing up on the packaging. So you can go to the cannabis store and see limonene. Limonene is found in citrus fruits, and it's also found in a lot of cannabis. It's really, really energizing, and it's an antidepressant. So if I'm, stopping by to pick up some bud for the weekend, and it's been a hard week, and I just need to have some giggles with my hubby, then I'm going to go for something with limonene. Terpenoline is one of my all-time favorites. It's my get stuff done terpene. It's very energizing. It's very rewards based. You love to set out, smoke something high in terpenoline and get the house chores done, like clean your entire house. Funny story, the first time my husband ever smoked Trainwreck, which is very high in terpenoline, he decided he needed to go out and clean our barn, which is like this huge 3-story massive disorganized nightmare of a barn. And he went out and he cranked some music and he danced and he cleaned and he had the best time. And I was like, Trainwreck needs to be a staple in our household for that honey-do list on the weekend.
That's hilarious.
I love it.
My relationship with terpenoline, if I have too much of that, I'm an anxious wreck. I am a train wreck. So, I have to really microdose terpenoline to get that effect without being like, oh my God, I have so much to do. I can't get anything done, because I start spazzing out if I, have too much of it. But yes. Okay, keep going.
So what else here? So caryophyllene, I recently, kind of unfortunately, found out that I have rheumatoid arthritis, which is obviously a bummer, but I feel fortunate in that I have so many tools in my toolbox already to help combat this terrible thing. So we know about the anti-inflammatory effects of CBD and things like that, but there's so many analgesic qualities and anti-inflammatory qualities in our essential oils as well, or in our cannabis as well. So beta caryophyllene is one that I find tremendous pain relief from. It's very warming, similar effect to using wintergreen. You get that warming sensation and instant pain relief. So for people who are dealing with chronic pain, incorporating myrcene or caryophyllene into either your cannabis consumption or usage, whether it's in a topical or you're consuming it in another way, those can be really great. Humulene.
Caryophyllene is my favorite. Is
it
black pepper?
Yeah.
I have all the genes for inflammation, and so I think it was, your body kind of tells you what you want or need.
Absolutely.
You just kind of follow it, and I probably overuse black pepper on everything that I eat. And so, yeah, beta caryophyllene is my favorite. But so I say beta caryophyllene and you're saying caryophyllene. Is there a difference?
Not really in the grand scheme of things. I think there's some chemical changes that happen, but ultimately, if you're looking for high levels of caryophyllene in your products, then either it's a marketing thing a lot of the time too, I believe.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And then myrcene that you mentioned, that is the mango, that
Yeah.
fruity smell,
Right.
which, and I believe myrcene is the most dominantly found terpene in cannabis. Is that true?
I actually thought it was caryophyllene, but I might be wrong. It could be myrcene. I know both are really, really common. Myrcene is often found in indica varieties because it produces this couch lock sensation. I'm kind of a hyper energetic workaholic kind of person, and I really use cannabis to help me stop at the end of the day. Like, no, be done work, veg, hang out with your family, read a book to the kids, like just be done work, calm down. Myrcene, I find really, really helpful for that. It's the classic couch lock effect that can be associated with certain cannabis strains, especially of the indica variety. And something that a lot of people have heard, and it's kind of old cannabis folklore, is that if you eat a mango while you're consuming cannabis, it'll extend the length of your high. So just to kind of pay homage to that, we've added mango butter to all of our bath bombs. Super nourishing. It's great for your skin. It's got all kinds of great emollient properties, but the mango's in there to kind of pay tribute to myrcene and in being such high amounts in cannabis.
I like that a lot. The bath bombs, I've never been somebody that would really use that stuff because I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get all relaxed and then there's going to be a big ring around my tub and then I'm going to have to like clean the bathtub and now I'm relaxed. So like, no, thank you. And then I found something, and these people are not paying me. This is not an endorsement of any kind, but I wanted to share this with you. Have you heard of these things? They're called Canna Wipes.
No.
Okay. So they're made up the road from me in Santa Rosa, and they come in a tub like those Clorox bleach wipes, that kind of
Yeah.
a thing. And people on farms use these when they're doing a lot of trimming to like clean off their hands. And so I got some samples of these. I'm like, okay, I'm giving the bath bombs and stuff a shot and then wiping out my tub with these guys and seeing how they work. But
No.
Canna Wipes, they didn't use two ends, but whatever. Anyway, so you should check those out.
Yes,
Could be,
definitely.
because somebody who's got OCD like me. Most people probably don't care about that shit, but I do. So anyway, I just had to tell you that while I was thinking about it.
Yes.
So do you have some sort of an aroma wheel or I don't know what else to call it, that kind of that shows you, okay, if this is how you're feeling, these are the terpenes that would be best for you right now.
Yeah, I don't specifically have one myself. We did have a spinning terpene wheel at an event we did, the World Cannabis Congress, and it was amazing. Unfortunately, it was too huge for us to bring back to the office, but I think it had probably about 50. There's about 200 different terpenes that are found in the cannabis plant. 30 we see reoccurring and in high amounts a lot, and I think it had those 30 plus a lot more on it. But no, I don't specifically have something like that here.
I'm
In
going to
the
hunt
office.
one of those down. I just think that's a practical thing for people if, to try to memorize all this shit. I mean, you can't do it. And,
No.
I put a lot of this stuff in my cannabis class resource guide that I'd put together, but so many more have been discovered and are being talked about and used. And so what I have is outdated. But, I think that would help people discover, how to use it DIY style.
Yeah.
And speaking of, so we know that cannabis is the best herb to grow at home. But other than that, what are some other plants or herbs that are great to grow at home that you can use in your wellness routine?
Yeah. One of my favorite DIY things to make at home is actually really simple, just an Epsom salt herbal soak. And at home, we grow a lot of our own herbs. Rosemary is a great one that you can grow at home, really easy year round, even here in New Brunswick. You can grow it in a windowsill. And you can do lots of different things with it, but just clipping it and adding it to hot water bath, even fresh, with some Epsom salts, throw some cannabis oil in there and have a good soak. The magnesium in the Epsom salts themselves are detoxifying and great for pain and inflammation. Rosemary is really stimulating and helps promote circulation. Add some cannabis oil in there, or some CBD oil, whether you make it yourself. And you can have a really great, luxurious soak. Another one I always go to, lavender. Lavender, maybe it's for me where I'm a stressed out mom. I use lavender a lot. It helps me sleep. It helps me unwind. It's amazing on its own. You can grow it yourself and just rub it between your fingertips to release all the terpenes, all the linalool. You can add that to your bath, or I know a lot of people are making their own cannabis oils and things like that at home and doing DIY. A simple face serum, adding a little bit of lavender or some peppermint into a really simple CBD face serum is really great. And I'm doing that a lot right now. I'm wearing a mask all the time, getting acne.
Okay, so question, if we make this at home, what's the best carrier oil to use if we're putting it on our face?
Everyone's different. Know what oils work really well for you. Excuse me. I like rice bran oil a lot. You can get it at most grocery stores. It's incredibly gentle. You very rarely hear of anybody having any skin irritation with rice bran. A little bit of jojoba is also really nice to use. But for the face, I really like rice bran, and it's really easy to get. You don't need to get it from any special cosmetic sources. It's available in most stores.
So I have a doctor that I'm going to have on the show in January to talk about cannabis and allergies and CBD's effects in skincare, because I have tried so many skincare products and the CBD dries the shit out of my face. And that's what everybody's go-to is. And so CBG is much more moisturizing than CBD. And I hope people start, formulating with that sooner. But I'm just, that's been my issue, is just trying to find something, especially during the winter, that will, keep your skin moisturized, make you feel good. And so I may have to, I'm going home to Texas next Thursday, and my sister has all kinds of stuff. She's the perfect hippie to do this project with. So I'm going to have her and I make some face oil. That'll be fun.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah,
so
it will be fun.
You talked about the soaking and smelling and stuff, but tea is another, great use for these herbs. And your Instagram handle is @tea&terps. So I know you're a tea girl. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I love tea. Back when I was working with my mom, we had a huge tea component of our store, and I started doing custom blends for people. We have a chocolate factory in town, and I actually did a custom blend for them featuring their products. But tea is just another one of these great ways to feel good and feel better. I live in New Brunswick, Canada, and it's very, very cold. So I'm constantly sipping on hot tea through the days. But terpenes interact in tea the same way. There's a reason that you hold a cup of tea close to your face and you're smelling the aroma. And as you're steeping all those great herbs and botanicals, you're getting the terpenes as well. So, if you have like an apple spice tea, you have terpenoline happening in your apples and beta-caryophyllene in your spices. And you can really layer those aromatic effects through tea as well. Of course, it's a super healthy way to do it. I don't often drink cannabis teas themselves. I do love having a puff and enjoying a cup of tea on the side. But it's the same thing, just like you can have a really energizing bath bomb or massage oil or a sedating one. You can do the exact same thing with teas. I developed a Bubba Kush tea here, and I didn't intend for it to turn out this way, but it basically ended up like a lavender chai. There's cinnamon and cassia, black pepper, lavender, all these different ingredients that I just chose based on their terpene profiles. And once we got blending, that's what we had, was this beautiful, rich lavender chai tea with all the terpenes that you would find in the Bubba Kush cultivar. So again, you're drinking this tea and you get just waves of sedation, and anxiety melts away. where the train wreck tea is apple and lemon and mango, and it's and a really energizing green tea base. So that one, when you're feeling like a train wreck and really need to go and get back on track, that one is a really, really good one. And then the Blue Dream that I developed has lemongrass and blueberries, and it's in a beautiful, calming white tea base. And Blue Dream has your classic hybrid effects, kind of a mixture of both. That's really nice for a dreamy daytime experience. And you can get that from the Blue Dream strain in a joint, but you can also get a lot of that effect from the tea, because it's the terpenes that are really dictating a lot of that experience.
Well, and I like the idea of the layering, because I do that with my cannabis experience, where I will have an edible, but then I'll smoke. That way I get my instant gratification. And then as that high is wearing off, the edible is kicking in, and you have a different high that comes on. It kind of sneaks up on you. But I like the idea of doing that, where you just add a few more nuances in, where you add the tea, or even the essential oil blends, like when you have a headache, and putting the lavender on your temples and your third eye. And so there's a lot of things that we can do to experiment with our cannabis experience. It doesn't have to be boring. And I like that you've added that nuance to it. But can we order the non-medicated stuff in the US?
Yes, you can. So we can ship the non-infused version to the US. StewartFarms.store is where those are available. And if you love cannabis, then add cannabis. Have your favorite puff in the bathtub with your favorite bath bomb. It's a life changer. It is honestly the best feeling. Sit down in the morning and enjoy your Blue Dream tea with your morning puff, if that's what you want to do, and combine the two. It really elevates the entire experience and helps dictate the direction that the experience will go.
I like that. Now, is there something that I didn't ask you that you want to add?
Well, we were talking about, you made a really good point about how sometimes your body just knows what you need and you're drawn to certain things. There's so much truth to that. Unfortunately, because of COVID here now, we don't have the sniffer jars, but when you do have the opportunity to smell a variety of different cannabis, do it. Like, really, really have a good deep smell. Go beyond the top note that you smell right away, and really dive in and see how you feel. If you smell something and you feel your shoulders drop and you take a big sigh, you probably need to have some of that. There's something in there that's going to jive really well that you're needing. So take some time, smell the flowers. There's a reason it's so therapeutic.
Yeah, that's great advice. Stop and smell the flowers.
Absolutely.
Well, Catrina, congratulations on getting your first infused products line launched. I know y'all have been working really hard. I love when you reach out and let me know that you and the crew are listening to a podcast, getting it done. So it's been fun, and I don't even know if Tanner knows that you're doing a show with me today, but
He does.
congratulations to y'all's whole team. There's a lot of really exciting things happening at Stewart Farms. And, when I first talked to somebody about what y'all are doing with the vertical farming, but the fact that it is regenerative, they're like, how is that regenerative? And so I would encourage everyone to go to Stewart. Is it stewart-farms.life?
StewartFarms.life.
StewartFarms.life.
Yeah.
And check out what they're doing. I mean, it's fascinating. They've got aquaponics. They're raising fish that will be sold. Which fish market will these fish tilapia be going to?
Well, the plan was for them to go to the Boston live markets, but everything's kind of up in the air right now. But our tilapia are very healthy. They're growing like crazy. I visit them whenever I need a little fish break, I guess.
Yeah. And so the happy fish are fertilizing the happy cannabis plants, and then you're getting to take that product and make amazing stuff with it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, Catrina, we're going to end the live session, but I want you to hang tight.
Okay.
And I've got more stuff for you.
Okay.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you.